Ooh, what's this one? Wow, I don't even remember this. Ooh.
Yeah, I think John sent this one. It's like
This
early
is super
painting
old.
in
Wow.
Dreams.
Yeah, so I actually don't recognise this video, so this is new to me as well.
Wow.
But one of the things we messed around with for a long time was like, do you want to always paint on the surface? Is it part of sculpting? Is it a freeform thing? As you know, we've ended up with a mixture. I don't actually. Yeah, this is crazy. We went through so many different UIs. There was a really interesting one. In fact, this era, yes, this one, where we were experimenting with all of the UI being physical. So you had to dip things in paint pots, and we had this idea of a palette, which is still what we call the thing that you get when you press.
Yeah.
Well, it's the thing at the top of the screen when you're using DualShock, and it's the thing that hangs off your secondary hand when you're using dual moves. And that's called the palette in the code. And the reason for that is because originally it was an actual dream that you owned, a bit like your home space. And you could put anything into that dream and it would show up on your secondary hand. So you could basically literally make a physical palette for yourself.
Yeah, we actually have some videos of it in here somewhere.
Yeah,
I just don't know what it is
weird.
from the... but we can flip through a couple,
yeah,
and
let's go
so
to
if
the
there's
next one
that,
I don't recognise that one, so let's just go for the next one.
Oh, so this is what we showed earlier.
Yeah, this is Crystal.
with
So
Crystal.
for those of you who weren't on the stream earlier, Crystal was like the lead character that Francis designed for the longest time, and she was the sort of person that we first tested out the idea that you could possess a puppet. And we made this game called Crystal's Dream. She had this dad character who was it was actually quite weird, and then she had a lab and an organ, and she would like big sort of musical instrument, and she would go on this journey, and you had to sort of use the imp to lead her through the world. In fact, there were sort of shades of the.
You should do this like quick fire to the next.
Yeah, next. It's like
next one.
Again. Hype. Wow, I don't recognise half these videos. This is awesome.
I think this was one was in there. This was to show level 0. So Peter Field sent this. So this is like one of the first iterations of the level 0. So if you played early access today.
The first level
that you play through that sort of teaches you how to use the controller and all of that. This was like a very, very early iteration of that.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
I don't even know when it's from.
I think I can tell you the dates.
Okay.
I like that this one. A load of our community wonder why Kareem still calls it Dream.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dream.
This one.
That'll be why.
Yes.
Yeah. And every time we do it, I try and off camera poke him in the ribs, but he never appreciates that. Yeah. Wow. Gosh. So this was one of the first times we had sort of splatty sort of looks, and I think this was a concept where stuff was ephemeral. It sort of faded away. So in fact, you can almost recognise some of this in there's an opening
this
section.
Is probably the closest
to
where it is now. I think this is like the other iteration of level 0 that Pete sent across.
You should get some of the game designers to come up here, because so one of the fun things you need to know about me is I am absolutely rubbish at playing Dreams, and so no one likes it when I actually get involved.
Here comes Siobhan, ready?
Come on,
what
Siobhan.
an entrance!
What an entrance! Come on, Siobhan.
What an entrance!
Come on, Siobhan.
I can do the engine. I can't do the gameplay. So yeah, this is Siobhan to come and tell you the real story behind. But we were always trying to integrate different elements of imp gameplay. So I think we were learning what imp gameplay meant.
This is like imp gameplay and going through the doors. So all of this, the last 3 that you were looking at were all things that were sort of leading up to Paris Games Week, where we suddenly did the first gameplay and the first like Media Molecule intro. This is Crystal's Garden. And
It's not, is it? This is more like the...
Yeah, but this was like where we'd kind of got to with it, where it was like up in the clouds, and where we started to see these little imps, the cute little imps.
And we were sort of experimenting with
this was the same kind of
mechanics.
thing. Yeah, this is the mechanics. So it was all about trying to find ways to make tactile gameplay so that it linked with create mode.
Right.
So that you had this like one control mechanism where you'd get used to the motion controls.
I don't know if this is how you lot will all work when you're working on your Dreams, but Media Molecule, even for Little Big Planet 1, Little Big Planet 2, Tearaway, we've always built these little motifs where we do kind of like, they're not necessarily the most beautiful, but they're quick gameplay tests to find out what feels fun, what's enjoyable. And then, you get stuck on that motif and you never know which one's going to be the one that you really keep coming back to.
Yeah, we try to sort of look at them, or just play them and see what's the most fun.
So it's like
prototyping. So these they're just little prototypes, and like with these ones, we had about, I don't know, 50 little screenshots of all of these different imp mechanics,
Yeah.
which have actually, a lot of them have made it into what sort of become Artstream. So a lot of the stuff that you're seeing
Super
here
secret,
is like sort of the precursor to us kind of getting to the point where we knew what we wanted to do with the imp and do this tactile play, and then moving between tactile play and then the character possession.
And when you're creating like this, you don't have to worry about what it looks like so much.
No.
You're just worrying about what it feels like, what it feels
Yeah.
like to play.
Yeah, and it can be like, and I think the thing is, what a lot of games are lots of these elements sort of all strung together,
In an
well
intelligent
timed
way,
and
yeah.
sort of paced, and you know,
Yeah.
and sort of build up. Like
Let's-
there's like the
let's go
rule
to
of
the next
threes.
one.
Yeah, next one.
Oh wow, early animation
this is-
stuff. Wow. I mean, animation's been one of the trickiest ones for us because we have had to. We were trying to take all the different digital arts, like music making, sculpting, obviously, but logic, electronics, all of those gadgets. And animation was one of the ones where we sort of were feeling around for the longest time to try and find the right metaphor.
Yeah.
And I think Mark Healy was always into puppeteering, so a big
Yeah.
part of it was the idea that you could possess something, and the action recorder, as we call
Have
it,
we
came
got
out of that.
Dave's cool video of like the really early Crystal puppeteering demo that he did?
I don't know
I
if
think
it
that
that's
on
yeah.
there?
I think that's the one that we were looking at earlier.
Okay, where he's got the dad and Crystal in the lab.
Oh, maybe not the lab.
That's
I
an
think it's in
amazing
there
one.
somewhere
Okay.
because Dave
That's-
did send
yeah.
a bunch across. They'd probably be towards the end of that list. Tom.
Well, let's
Yeah.
hope
I'm
it
not
comes
sure.
up.
Because
that was a
Dave really
great
did
demo.
I mean, really, Dave should talk about it himself, but he was really keen on this idea.
Dave,
of just
if you're
like,
watching
come
the
on, Dave.
stream,
He's watching, but like he was really keen on like the idea of like puppetry being as easy as just picking up two dolls and moving
Yeah.
them around.
Oh, we showed a little bit of this one earlier, I think.
No, it's not that one.
Let's skip to the next one.
Yeah.
Ooh, what's this?
Oh my god, these are like really old.
It's
blimey,
early physics.
early physics,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
And when
wow, what a
the
crazy
imp
selection.
was look at the imp, it's a crystal.
Yeah.
Remember there was that little time where actually that was what was happening, flying around characters rather than an imp.
They're the ones with Dave's name in it. They're the ones
Yeah,
we've got
I
with Dave's
can
name.
probably find it.
Go next. What's next? This
Oh,
is earlier
this is
sculpting.
super early sculpt.
Let's go next.
actually,
one.
if you move the window that's showing us, you can see
See
Anton.
Anton.
Yeah.
Actually using the move controllers.
Hello.
So this was the first time we ever made. This is before PlayStation 4 even existed.
Yeah.
Wow.
We were still in like, I feel like this is a bridge from LBP because look at the paper. We
Yeah.
were still in like graph
Yeah.
paper world.
This is like 2000. Here's Dave.
There's Dave. We were just
Dave,
talk-
come
Did you
and-
hear
Dave,
us
we
talking
just
about
summoned you.
I was summoned.
As
Yeah,
if by
okay,
magic.
I'm going to find the video for you.
We want to find the one with
Can
Crystal
you
and
pass
Dad.
me that
Yeah.
laptop?
Are you
and
doing
I
the
will-
animation? Did you send it over?
Yeah,
Did you put it in your list? I
there's a list. It has like kind of embarrassing
sit in
me
here.
talking to camera first. Okay.
Go on, Dave. Get
Yeah,
in
but
here.
it does have you, but that's fine. Gosh, this is a hot laptop.
Or do you want to go next, Siobhan?
Yeah.
No, I'm
Good,
yeah,
good.
you
Here, I
Come on,
can,
Alex, get in here.
I can move over.
You're going to
Shuffle
just
up.
stay,
Right.
stay
I'm
next
just
to
gonna move
me.
our.
Dave, introduce yourself.
Am I on the camera? Yes, I
Yes,
am.
you are on the camera,
I'm in the
yeah.
corner.
Don't
Hello.
knock the mic.
I'm This is the number 2 technical director. I'm the number 1 technical director.
Yeah, thanks.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
And I'm the
Shots fired.
number one studio director.
Shots fired.
Yeah.
Okay, where's all videos?
Dave actually plays games competently.
Sometimes, yes.
I just play games
But not
incompetently.
What's the last game that you played? Is it still Burnout?
No, I think it's Horizon actually.
That's mean, Dave.
Oh no, no, no,
It's a
no.
good game.
No, I'll tell you,
I know it was
it's
a, were you
Astrobot.
being mean to me?
No.
Astrobot
That was a true
VR.
game.
We invited you
Good
up
game.
here, you know. We were.
That'll be good.
He's here to be mean to me. No, Astrobot VR.
Okay.
Oh, that sounds fun.
It is
was
good.
brilliant.
It's really good.
Whose laptop is this?
Hello.
That's
Okay,
Tom's laptop.
Right, why don't you have normal project?
Because
There we go.
it's new.
Okay, great. There
Well,
we go.
slash new.
Tom apparently goes through laptops faster than you.
Blimey.
Yeah. It's my
So-
fourth.
Wow, this is an early concept
Oh.
Oh, so we actually wanted to show that when Bogdan was on, the music one that you just flipped through a minute ago too, because
Oh, yeah.
it was like an early test of the audio tools.
because we were like trying to ask the questions like we had no idea how are we going to do rigging, how are people
Yeah.
going to set up their faces, and you know we've been on a long journey. In fact, the journey's not ended. I think we're going to keep evolving and create
Oh,
tools.
totally.
Dave's currently working in the area of puppets and animation, aren't you? Is that
Yeah.
right?
That's on one of the many things on my list. But yes, yeah, there's lots of fun
Cool
things to
new
come.
stuff coming. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I think especially the idea that you can just take a puppet someone's made and just easily just stretches
perform
and,
with it,
mess
yeah.
around with, and then. You
Oh,
don't
is
have
the
to do a lot
stretch
of
still
other
not
things.
in yet?
Oh, it's in, but there's a bunch of
There's
like
cool.
there's
There's
neating up and making it
things.
nicer
There's
and
things to
smoother
make
and
it-
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
I think, and to get the art team super happy with.
yes, it's not quite there.
But people made amazing characters throughout the beta.
Oh, we've been looking.
Oh,
who-
yeah, it's
Absolutely
impressive.
amazing
Someone
stuff.
made
So,
a donut that's called Alfonso or something, and that's my favourite one so
That
far.
might have been Mia, Kath's little girl was telling me last night her thing she was gonna make today was a donut burger.
A donut burger, nice, like a cronut.
Oh,
Oh wow, this is which prototype was this? This was the
oh,
so the project name. I know you will have heard of Bubbles and Unicorn, but we also have really bad file names for our actual, like when you click on it to load up at the beginning of the day. This was Dreams, which is actually the most sensible one. Then the one after that was called D, which is also known as Bubbles, and then the one after D was DD. Because I was like, what happens after D? And it's like DD. That's the one you will have. So the one you just downloaded off the PlayStation Store is actually called DD. But it's more dreams than D. It's like
double dream.
double dreams.
Oh, here's an early version of the color picker.
Okay,
no,
Dave, talk.
There's the early version of Paint prototype. So it's kind of playing around with like fluid dynamics and things.
This is a full
So it's
fluid
actually- so
simulation.
it's very different to the way we're doing Paint now. Like we use Paint in a much more texturally way. This is messing around with the idea of just making a really fluid interface for like blobbing
So you
things.
did that
and-
fluid
yeah,
rhythm.
and it's kind of embracing the kind of chaos of things, that everything's all liquid and just sort of it kind of fights you a bit in a fun way, perhaps. But yeah, it's
When
one
was
of many
this? This was like
prototypes that have failed.
10?
It was.
Was it this
2011?
2011. Oh yeah,
Wow.
that's like a few eons ago, a few lifetimes ago. I had long hair. I didn't.
No, you
I
didn't.
I
No.
But almost that long ago.
Did you ever have long hair?
I did.
You did.
Well,
Not
like
then.
how
There
long?
is actually one photo on the internet
Like
of me with long,
how long?
like shoulder length,
What?
bright red hair. Yeah,
Prove it.
it's on the internet.
Cancel this.
Yeah,
Find
yeah.
the picture of Alex.
I will find that image. No way. What have we got next?
Okay, hold on. I think
Siobhan's found something.
no, animation milestone, gameplay and animation milestone. Milestone 1, September. Oh gosh, hold on. I'm trying to find. That's a montage. I thought I'd
We
found
need a
Dave's thing.
montage. Okay, let's go to the next video. Let's keep rolling
Yeah,
with the
I'll
shots.
find- I'm looking for Dave's video. But I'm
Who's
finding
that?
We have like 1,000 videos of old
That
stuff.
that is actually Crystal's Garden as well.
Ah, yeah.
So that is going back to. No, hold on. Yeah, that was when the imp was. So
Like a
this was these little
character.
characters, and it was more of a. It was a little bit creepy though.
It was very creepy.
So
Has
we
a
did
sort of
it.
black and white vibe to it almost. No.
Really?
Well,
No.
I think the character was Mark
Oh,
McKeely's design.
This is cool. Okay, I'm
That's
put
we
that
have to do this one.
there. Yeah, I'm gonna put that into.
Oh my god. Oh, it's
Hold on a
new
sec.
though. They haven't
No, I'm gonna put it into stream videos. I'll copy.
but they have to copy it into OBS or something. That's cool. This was worth it. Dad's lab hulking. Awesome.
Access denied. What?
Siobhan's
Oh,
been
because it's in
nice.
my home folder. No?
Abby stream videos.
Yeah. I don't know that you can add to that.
Okay,
If you
can
pop it
you?
on my desktop and then I'll.
You can go to.
on the desktop of the laptop.
Yeah. Okay.
What are we doing here, Dave? Take us through the gameplay
Yeah,
concept.
this was playing around with using like the imp and character controls at the same time. So obviously the character is just a really simple thing. We
yes.
didn't have any of the nice movements. But it was playing around with using the imp
Possession and-
with the gyros to move things around, but you're possessing the character and running around at the same time. It's
That's
really
right.
fun.
It was really fun. I remember this actually being.
So could you
one of
build
the
this with
first-
Logic now? You could
Yeah.
build
Yeah,
this
you
in
could
Dreamiverse.
Oh yeah, yeah.
that.
Oh, and much better.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's like I remember playing this because it was one of the first things that we made that was actually really showed that off, and it was really fun. Even though the character's not moving, she's not moving. It was just the nature of moving between possession and tactile.
Yeah.
Like the tactile felt really good.
If you don't have animation, make everything like Subutio.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
Top
kind of on
tip.
purpose, yeah, because we didn't have any animation then, so we thought we'll just make it look comedy and silly.
Yeah, exactly. So people don't think. Although back on LBP, we made everything out of sponge because we didn't have any materials, and then our producer from Sony came back and said, with complete straight face, "Is everything in LBP going to be made of sponge? Everything?" And we're like, "No, that was just placeholder." But anyway, sorry, Pete. Right, what's
Physics tests?
we've looped this now a few times. I think. Oh no!
Oh.
Ooh. Ah.
Oh, so this is getting
Ah.
into Derek's dream. So this is the point. Oh my god. Sorry, just looking at a very young video. Oh, there you are. That will do.
Have you found another video?
Yeah, I found things.
I've seen things.
Yeah.
I don't remember this.
I know. It's
This
like, oh my God.
It's like a really young
This is
Crystal.
this is more Crystal's
Oh
Dream.
yeah.
No.
Yeah, because I think this was the point between. Do you remember when we went when we had like all the lighthouse gameplay and it was all about like synesthesia, and everything was like forming in front of you? Do you remember that phase?
Faintly. No. That was a bad Thursday.
No, it was a what a time to be alive, basically.
Was it Derek? Was Derek's?
Derek-
Love John's? Was it
Derek
John?
Derek.
Derek.
There's another story about Derek, but we'll save that for another time.
Okay. This is early Painterly tests.
Yes.
Yeah.
So back up when John Eckersley was on the stream earlier, he was talking about how we hadn't given him any lovely Painterly technology,
No.
but he wanted to make Painterly stuff anyway. So he took the kind of hard sculpts that we had and tried to turn them into something beautiful and Painterly. Right, next. Nice one, John, but whatevs. Next.
I think that one. Is,
Wow.
Oh, this is...
Oh
so
yeah,
if
behind
you-
the scenes.
So this is behind the scenes of how we made the PlayStation 4 band playing. So that's our lovely Jenny Lawrence
Jennifer
and
Lawrence.
Kenny Young there. And basically they're playing the game on the TV that's sitting on the sofa live, and they're actually puppeteering the characters that you saw when we did the PS4, and then we're filming them, and then for the final thing that you saw on the stage when the PS4 was announced, we took the film of them performing and then the output that they're seeing on the TV, and we basically squished them together so that
Yeah.
you can see what they can see, and it really was real. In other words, it was a one take per person, and they had to perform their well, they did lots of takes, but in the end we picked one take for each of the drummer, the pianist, and we put it together, and so we took the game output and the filmed beautiful 4K red camera that we had hired for the day, and
Let's see if that
Siobhan's
helps.
laptop's exploded in the background.
Uh-oh.
Technically, she's only broken Tom's laptop.
Yeah.
Okay, Tom's
Oh.
laptop's exploded. So yeah, that was how we made the PS4
Why does a community
thing.
manager need a laptop?
Yeah.
It's fine.
Not today.
That was a
Not
fun
today.
day. Oh, look at
Got a
that!
phone.
Look at that stretch on those bubbles.
Was that yours?
That
your stretch?
Might have been. What? What's this? Oh, this is early electronics. So we didn't actually have LBP style electronics or gadgets, as we call them, for the longest time. We went through a few different iterations of that. We even had Lua as a programming
Yeah,
language
we
at one
did.
point, that you had to have a PC to play Dreams, and you wrote the Lua on a PC. It was a brief period. Still cool. Oh, different UI. Wow, look at this.
I know.
Yeah, we really love radial menus initially, but it's so limited what you can get on there. And
Yeah.
after a while, you just crave lists. I just
Yeah.
want to know everything I can do.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to have text.
Okay.
So this is basically where you start
So the crazy thing is, even Dreams today doesn't yet have fully like the crazy live editing that we were talking about earlier today, but also it didn't have huge swathes of stuff, so it didn't have very much by way of gadgets. You basically had to set stuff up in code, bits of Lua, there was a bit of a gadgetry, but it was very sort of half baked. And around this time this was called Bubbles, it's like 2015, and Bubbles was so complicated, and we'd been experimenting for so long. And as you've been seeing on the stream, we'd gone down all these different avenues. We'd experimented with Crystal's Dream. We'd
This
experimented,
was when it was really starting to.
and suddenly it started coming
yeah,
together.
come
And we were
together.
like,
Yeah.
Bubbles started producing great looking gameplay, great fun to do stuff, but it was all a bit of a mess. It was like the picture started forming in front of our eyes of what we wanted Dreams to be.
I think that
But it was-
commonly
it was
known in
messy.
the programming world, we then need to do a refactor.
So we refactored
Yes.
the D project that this was into the
Refactored
DD project.
Yeah.
Refactoring involves going to the file menu and then typing new project.
Yeah. To producers, as a producer, you're always like, oh, it's refactor
Or a
time.
refactor.
Yeah.
Just do a little
Great.
refactor.
And a small amount of typing later, we produced Unicorn.
It was excellent though, like it was needed,
what's this?
and I think
Oh, this
you
is
know
cool.
it actually also gave the content team the time to allow some of the gameplay to settle. So
Okay, so this is a different thing. So this is for the longest time, the engine team had their own private copy of Dreams. So this is where we developed the engine.
log in.
And it was 4096 Dad's Head. That character there was called Dad's Head. And we basically did all of our
There's a
engine
link to the
tests,
stream
lighting
camera.
tests, rendering tests with one sculpt called Dad's Head. But we had 4096 of Dad's Head. And so for about 2 or 3 years, Simon and I would work solely in this level, looking at a grid of Dad's heads. And I think I was just coding up the UI elements, which you can now see today.
And this was like obsessing on all the LOD stuff. So
Yeah,
things would
depth of field,
look good in the
motion
distance
blur.
and cover each other and render efficiently.
Yeah, exactly. So this is me just flying around, and I'm just staring at the pixels and testing out the different UI elements, making sure they look nice on different contrast backgrounds. So that's what an engine programmer does. They don't go into the levels that you all get to play. They go into these horrible test levels, like the Dad's Head field, and just stare at the pixels mindlessly for hours. People come over and go, "Are you okay?" Because you've just had your head against the TV for about 20 minutes, and it's like, "I'm looking at the pixels. They are wrong. There are wrong pixels." Right, let's go next. What's next? Unicorn update. How's Unicorn
Oh,
doing?
I remember this. So this was when
the
we
race.
took this to, I think, what date did that say?
2016.
Yeah, so we
December.
took this PSX where we showed the redwood forest, and we
Ah.
were showing that, and that was and we were also sort of showing an update here. Yeah.
This is the first time we were able to build content in Unicorn. So
Yeah.
Unicorn was, the team was transitioning from Bubbles to Unicorn, and you can actually see bits of the levels you guys have in the Dreams
Level
Day
Zero
sort of
one there.
Yeah.
coalescing here. But
Yeah.
my goodness, we had to rework so much stuff. The visuals for selection there are completely different. Yeah, memories. Mein Gott in Himmel, as the Germans say. Mein Gott! What's that?
Last
Yeah,
video.
Last
oh.
video. Right. You probably all had enough. You're like, whatever.
Well, we've got Bogdan soon, don't we? And I'm very excited about
Oh yes, we
Bogdan.
do. Yeah, Bogdan's
Bogdan's
going to do
next.
a performance for us.
I'm very excited by that.
Okay.
I have found some.
Actually, we've seen
Oh
this
yeah,
one,
what's
so
the video
we've
that
wrapped.
you?
Can we just do what if you could pick one, Siobhan? Pick a video of
I
Dave.
still read. I think it was this June one because it has a bunch of.
So do we need to plug in a computer or something, or
Yeah,
is it?
just need to.
Let me just check. It had. Oh,
Has anyone got any questions? Is the stream?
do some
How's the
Q-
stream
stream
feeling?
do some Q&A for
What are
a
they
sec.
chatting about? What's going down?
No one knows.
Bogdan, you can make a coffee.
We need you to be ready for your
Yeah.
moment.
Bogdan is ingesting caffeine, ready for his.
We're so excited.
Oh.
Downstairs, we've been getting very excited
This is
about
gonna be
this
good.
for a long time.
Extreme. And Bogdan is performing trailer. He is performing in.
Oh, no.
No, we'll see about that.
Oh,
What? No.
Bogdan might be performing.
No coffee for you, Bogdan.
Sorry, when was
Get
that?
away
Bogdan?
from that coffee machine.
Is it Yorkshire somewhere?
Oh, you mean like next time?
Yeah, actually, where
Oh,
you
yeah,
are
yeah.
actually before.
Tell me.
Okay.
But you are performing today as
No, I
well,
wouldn't
aren't
trail.
you?
So,
Yeah,
so
are
that-
you?
It's fine, he can-
You're,
he can
you're
say when he
performing
comes
for us today too, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to talk about that. When
Okay, cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah.
So
I'll
you wanna do a
explain- I'll
preview?
explain everything.
Yes, but
He'll
Bogdan
explain-
will be
he'll
performing
tell them the
live
secrets.
in somewhere in northern England.
Yeah, Algarave, and
Algarave.
Bogdan is performing a generative music
Set.
performance set.
Yeah,
Yes,
Which is
with
a thing.
visuals.
with visuals,
And it's gonna
live
be-
music programming.
It's going to
in
be gnarly.
Dreams.
It'd be amazing. I wish it was.
I love watching people
I think
perform in Dreams.
I'd really like us to do one here as well.
That'd be
I think
fun.
we should do a team Algarave.
In fact,
I've
someone
never
is
been to
asking-
one, but I'm very excited
Well,
by
there's
it.
several questions. Some of them are easy. How many people work at MM?
3,000.
There's just over 70 of us working on Dreams
70,
at the
yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
But that includes quite
That
a lot of
includes
people.
everybody. That's like everyone in QA, IT,
Chefs.
chefs, Contractors, everybody.
Asking when, if you can use a music video using Dreams.
Yes.
You can, very much. We have.
Yep.
It is super fun.
Good question. And yes, please make them.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good animation one, actually. No, we can't do that one. Doing that June milestone again.
Siobhan is still digging through it. So we have a folder on the network called All Videos in One Place.
Which is
Yeah,
quite
I
literally
should've-
what it says.
And it's got about 4,000 gigabytes of random stuff in it.
I've done this before.
So what have you all been enjoying in the Dreamiverse so far? Top picks?
A load of people are enjoying the new intros.
Oh, they're
Oh,
really
good.
cool.
A lot of love
They
for
are
the new
really
intros.
cool.
Cream and that team knocked
Was-
that one out of the park.
Was
and
this
Yeah.
game frustrating to QA test?
I think this game, we are obviously incredibly big fans of our QA team, but you just have no idea how epic this QA job was. It, for all the areas of Dreams, like in every area, it pushed us out of our comfort zone. But in the areas that are sort of having to track all of that, so QA, production, localization, it was just an incredibly different beast.
Yeah.
And when I think of just the epic spreadsheets, the just actually being able to write down what needed to be tracked was just that. But once we did it, there was a point where we just had to sit down and do it, and I made this epic Excel sheet, and it was.
Gareth has been amazing. So props to Gareth. I don't give him enough love.
Gareth and the QA team have just done an absolutely
all of them are
amazing
great.
job. Yeah.
I love the fact that Tom Lee, who's my current server QA buddy, was actually too young to be on the beta when he started testing Dreams. He was 17, and he's only about 18 and a bit now. But he's a legend. The QA team, all of them, not just Tom and Gareth, but have been awesome. And one of the things that we've been trying to help them with is automated testing. So everyone who's not technical can just tune out for a second. But we have a bank of 64, maybe it's not that many, maybe it's 32 PS4s sitting in IT, literally stacked. I think they're 6 high. I think you're only meant to set them 4 high, so don't tell anyone. These 6 or 8 high stacks of PS4s, and they will automatically play through all of your levels and our levels and check that they still run. They take screenshots for us, and so we basically get these big reports of how's the frame rate doing? Has this level crashed? And every time we find a bug, or the QA team, the beautiful QA team find a bug, they have this system called replays, which if you've ever played a racing game or something like that, it's a bit like a racing game replay. It records what they did, and they can then send that to us and put it onto their test farm, and it becomes part of the test that gets replayed. And so as a programmer, the experience of debugging Dreams is that you basically get a replay that says, when I did this and this and this and this, it doesn't work. But actually reading the bug takes forever, and the game is so deep, and there are so many tweak menus and so many different things that words suck. So all you do is you launch the replay, and you sit there and watch, and you say, they're doing that? Oh my god. And then you sort of see the bug coming, and then they finally click on the button and the whole thing detonates. At which point we get a lovely message from the community, because you guys, I don't know if you remember, but some of the community wrote us messages, and I put them all in the game, so every time Dreams crashes, we get one of your random messages appearing on our screen. It's but yeah, so that's really cool. But that's what it's like to QA Dreams. Siobhan is still wading through
She's
videos.
so, yeah.
It's just
But
really
they're not on the right computer,
No, I
so
know,
I think
it's
we're
just
going to
really
have to.
tricky. Yeah,
Should
sorry.
we hand over to Mr.
Yeah, we can hand over to Bogdan.
We also have a bunch of questions about multiplayer.
Ooh,
Yeah, and I know we're not really talking about it yet, but it is one of those things that's coming down the line for Dreams.
I'm so excited for multiplayer myself, and it's probably the big feature. There's obviously other big features you've all been asking for, like VR, online multiplayer, art stream. We've got these kind of big chunks that we know we're going to deliver, and it's just a question of us prioritizing. And part of early access is us sort of getting feedback from you guys, figuring out what order to do these big drops.
Yeah.
But
And I think the thing for us is we've kind of had to also realise we are a very small team,
yeah.
and we have many things that we need to do.
So-
So as the voice
Yeah.
of reason to
Yeah.
this tempering the excitement, it's just more of
Yeah, but with that said,
Yes.
Yeah, so with that said,
Yes.
no, promises,
Yes.
promises, no promises.
Remember we were going to try under-promising, over-delivering.
Under-promising. There will be
That's
one player maximum.
That's
Online
what we're gonna try
multiplayer,
out,
one player.
Yeah.
But when we did the DD project, which is Unicorn, one of the sort of pillars of the DD thing, which was that that the previous one, Bubbles, had sort of evolved in a way that's very hard to do multiplayer, online multiplayer. It did work, but it tended to diverge. It tended to go out of sync. So you know, player 1 has a strawberry and player 2 has a potato, and you're just like, what's going on? Multiverse. And it would have been cool.
Be asking
but
that question anyway, but
yeah, well, quite. But so Unicorn, everyone gets the strawberries. What?
I mean,
is this why you brought
that's a very
strawberries
good
on the
technical
stream
description.
earlier?
I think we should move on.
No, but yeah, so
Yeah.
multiplayer.
Hey, that's good.
Let's
I
move
think
on.
we've covered that nicely.
Yeah. Did you know that when you're playing Dreams right now, you're actually playing a multiplayer game, in all honesty, with yourself, one player.
Yes,
So the whole thing is built so that it's
That's-
a multiplayer game.
that's true.
That is actually true. So,
It's technically
so it's
true.
it's sending all of your, pad controls and move controllers and microphones and everything else. Everything you do is actually being sent through a little network pipe back to itself. The idea being that when we release multiplayer, all we have to do is
All we
send
have to do,
All we
Siobhan.
have to
All
do.
we have to do.
It's
What I
just
love.
send that over the
Yeah.
internet.
This is what happens. And then now, are we thinking about the QA here, fellas?
Yeah, we are. It's going to be perfect. There will be no bugs.
It is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So we're ready. We've designed for it from.
We're ready. What did we
We're
just
not-
say?
I'm ready to
We're
begin, not ready to
ready
release.
to begin.
We're not
Yeah,
even
start
that.
typing. I need to go
I mean,
and
we're
do
not-
file new project multiplayer.
Fix
It's
your
gonna
bugs.
be brilliant. What's happening?
Nothing. We're going to get Bogdan now.
We're gonna
Bogdan,
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 help
Bogdan,
us.
go quickly.
Bogdan.
He's outside. I'm going to get him.
Oh God, run!
He's drinking coffee and smoking cigarettes, except he doesn't smoke.
He doesn't smoke. I was like, have we turned Bogdan into a smoker?
Oh,
That would be bad.
The man just wants to drink his coffee in peace, and we're gonna make him perform.
While drinking coffee. Bring the coffee. My favourite thing from the beta
I'm
was.
swapping out.
Swap it out.
I'm going.
See you, Dave.
I'm
Don't,
going.
See you,
don't
Dave.
take
Thanks
out
for
the-
joining us, Dave.
Yeah,
Let's
if
sit
you,
on
can
the
find
mic.
if you can find your video of your puppets and you can come
Yeah,
back.
Okay, I'll have
That's
a
your
look.
price.
Because
That's your
I-
entropy.
It was obviously not named
Crystal Dad.
Crystal. I've looked at all
All
the
right,
crystal
where's that
ones.
controller? Oh,
I think
have
I
it.
like
have it.
I
I
like
have it.
Fence. Who was it who made Fence? The person who on Twitter who was like, I didn't make anything good in Dreams apart from this fence, and I love that fence.
No.
I
That
love
fence
them.
Good fence.
Yeah.
It was a great fence.
Like that eraser. It was an amazing eraser.
No,
that-
the fence beats the eraser. In a,
Actually, if the coat hangers were really great because they were used in everything,
You
and they
love
were
those.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not the only one.
too
They
much
were,
love for the coat hangers. Fence.
I'm gonna just move
It's
Fence.
fence
Okay, I'm gonna move
forever.
out the way.
I liked with
Okay.
the coat hangers.
Bogdan,
Yeah,
it
it's
is
time.
time.
Oh my god!
We
Yeah.
I
went
want
into
everybody
their
to come up and like
profile,
have
no,
fun
and then they
time.
had like
Yeah, go
thousands of different
go
colours.
grab
Okay,
everyone.
I'm gonna go
We'll
grab
we'll
people.
stall Bogdan
There's a
until
lot
you
of it's
get the
gonna be
whole
like
studio
really
up here to
in-depth
watch.
Music tool stuff.
But do some
But
show off
but
stuff.
I
when
love
you
that.
but when you're set up, will there be a moment that it's all
Yeah, I'm gonna make some music, but it's gonna take a while.
okay? Well, we can
Okay.
bring everyone up at the right
So
time.
this is the
If you're
like.
really excited to see the audio tools and Dreams, Bogdan,
I'm gonna
He's
move.
gonna
welcome
go
to the
deep.
couch.
Everyone start making some like salad and pasta, and then like have Bogdan on in the background, basically. And then when he goes wild, then you can all just like tear off your shirts and start throwing glow sticks.
So I need some headphones.
Ollie.
So
How's it
Hang on,
going?
what happened to the pasta?
the thing is, we're gonna
Okay.
have the problem is we're gonna have to turn down the TV, so no one else is gonna hear this except for me.
Okay, we'll
that's
just
the problem.
pretend.
Oh, sad. Can we have it a little
Oh,
bit
yeah,
on?
do you-
A little bit on, but like
Okay.
there's a lot of delay.
You
from
wanna
the
hear
TV.
it,
Yeah.
And should I get out of the way? Do you want to go
You
here?
decide. No,
So, no, would you like to be more centralised?
Yeah, sure.
Right. Well, that coffee smells good.
Yeah.
So how's the stream, people? Oh, can I have the typing on this?
No, pass me my laptop.
I want to talk
Tom,
to
take
you.
this immediately.